lunchtime whistle and the morning's finally done. I'm jumping in my car, I'm gonna have a little fun. The Doghouse Network's on my radio dial. Big Dog's taking care of business for a while. If you're listening to another station I don't understand, 'cause nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
Give us a call, Steve.
He's a northern-bred, southern-fed, slick-talking guy. Listeners in his posse are the Junkyard Dogs. The SEC from Tennessee to calling them hogs. From Gainesville up to Lexington to the Titan Tiger Land, nobody does it like Thom Abraham.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond?
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Reaction Monday in the Doghouse on MLK Day. And if you have the day off today, I hope you're enjoying that. And thank you for tuning us in. There's a full slate, by the way, of NHL and NBA games on tap today. And my beloved Boston Bruins are hosting the Philadelphia Flyers as we speak. Any minute now, I think they're going to drop the puck on it. The Sabres are playing now as well. Other games coming up this afternoon. And in the association, Grizz's Atlanta Hawks will be hosting the Miami Heat coming up at 2:30 this afternoon. So, Grizz may be interested in checking that out and seeing if he can, get a piece of that, or at least be able to see a little piece of that. I'm not sure if he'll be able to or not. It was a weekend full of upsets on the field and on the court, and tragedy off the field, really. I mean, obviously, I'm aware of the Darius Miles case in Tuscaloosa, but right now there seems to be more questions than answers. But it is an awful situation as a young mother is dead for what is being described as a minor argument. A 23-year-old woman with or 25-year-old woman, a 5-year-old child, is dead. The victim was in Tuscaloosa visiting and is not involved in any way with the school, nor is Michael Davis, who is Darius Miles' alleged accomplice in this deal. Now, Miles is maintaining his innocence in the whole affair, and he says that he looks forward to proving that in court. So we'll see what goes on with it. There are a lot of questions about it, including, for me, who is he talking to when he says, I love you more than anything in the world? When they're loading him into the back of the car, who is he talking to? I mean, that is one of the things that I'm not sure of. I don't know. So, in any event, maybe somebody else knows and you can tell us. But there's a lot of speculation about it right now as well. Also tragic was the car accident that took the life of Georgia offensive lineman Devin Willock and recruiting staffer Chandler LaCroix in a single car crash early Sunday morning. Thoughts and prayers go out to the families of both those young people. By the way, these two incidents both took place somewhere between 1:30 and 2 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning. In any event, it's just a sad thing to see what happened there. There were a couple of there was another player and another staffer in the vehicle at the time as well, and but they had minor injuries compared, obviously, to what happened with Devin Willock and Chandler LaCroix. Now, on the field of play, the NFL playoffs got started with 4 of the 5 underdogs covering the spread, and 2 of them, the Jags and the Giants, winning outright. Now, sorry to say, Wolverine Dan's bid to cash that Vikings Super Bowl ticket has come to an end in one of the weirdest seasons ever for the Minnesota Vikings and for any team in the NFL. The Vikings were 13-4 on the regular season. 13-4 on the regular season. And they were outscored. I mean, it's almost impossible. 13-4, and they were outscored on the season. So that comes to an end. They are maybe the biggest fraud in the history of the NFL, that 13-4 season. And how about the Chargers blowing that 27-point lead? How is Brandon Staley still employed? The Bills hang on against the Dolphins after almost blowing a 17-point. They did blow a 17-point lead. They blew the 17-point lead and were able to rally and win that football game. And the Bengals use a 98-yard fumble return for a touchdown, and I think it was a controversial play.
3rd down and goal from the 1. Huntley sticks the ball out. The Bengals have the ball.
Baby.
They are running it back. Sam Hubbard with blockers behind him. Hubbard to the Ravens 40, the 30, the 20, the 10, the 5. Touchdown!
About it.
Bengals!
Woo.
Look, Mark Stevens gets jacked in the back of that play at about the 25-yard line. Look, I know that their first is an initial bump shoulder to shoulder, and apparently that's why it wasn't considered a block in the back. But they get like bumped shoulder to shoulder, and then they kind of separate a little bit, and the guy shoves them in the back. Stevens is running that guy down. Or Andrews, I should say, Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is running that guy down. And he's going to tackle him at the 15-yard line or something along those lines. And then who knows what happens next? We don't know what happens next. The Bengals offense hadn't exactly been dynamic to that point. Maybe they get held to a field goal. It changes the way the end of the game goes. I mean, there's 12 minutes to go in the game when that happens. I thought it was a bad non-call. Bad non-call. And how about the carnage in college basketball over the weekend? And by the way, I got no dog in a fight. I hate both of those teams. As a Cleveland Browns fan, I cannot stand either one of those teams. So it doesn't bother me at all. There's nothing about that that's bothering me. I don't care. I want the Bills want to make me shout. I hope they blow Cincinnati out next weekend. How about the carnage on the college basketball front? 13 ranked teams lose. 10 of them lose to unranked teams. It's the 4th time 13 ranked teams have lost in a single weekend. Hadn't happened in 11 years. It's also the 2nd time that at least 10 ranked teams have lost to unranked teams in one weekend in the history of the AP poll. That goes back to 1938 or something. Alabama was not one of those victims, blowing out LSU by 40 as Brandon Miller shines again. And Brandon Miller is the freshman of the week in the SEC. The freshman of the week. What, are you kidding me? How is he not the player of the week? Can't you be the freshman of the week and the player of the week? I mean, Brandon Miller should be the player of the week after the week he had in those 2 games. Yes, I know he didn't do anything in the first half against Arkansas, but come on. He averaged 18 points and 6 rebounds, at Ole Miss, in wins over Ole Miss and Kentucky. This is last week's. No, it was even better. He had an even better week. He should have been both. There it is. He averaged 22.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and an assist and a half over Arkansas and LSU. Shot 70% from the field. Shot 69.2% from the three-point line, went 9 of 13 from the 3. Made 8 of 9 free throws. Had 7 3-pointers against LSU. The player of the week was Florida forward Colin Castleton, who averaged 17 points and 10 boards in his game. Get out of here. Brandon Miller is the player of the week and the freshman of the week. You could be that, can't you? Can't you be both? He was both. Phone lines are open, 256-576-4977. Text line is open, 7329-TA-SHOW, 732-982-7469. Great way to communicate with us, 24/7 that thing is open. My Twitter feed is at Thom Abraham Show. The station's feed is at 97.7 ESPN. You can watch on the Facebook, on the Twitter, and on the Facebook at 97.7 ESPN. You can watch the show on the Twitch and the YouTube at WZZN TV. Follow us on Twitch. Subscribe on YouTube. Get notifications. All of this is at 977ESPN.com, along with all the archived shows and podcasts of all of the radio shows on the station. There might even be some game stuff archived there. And while you're at it, get both of our apps, the Zone app and the Blitz app, so you get links to everything. Now, we're going to have our first open phone segment in just a moment. And then Thom Luganville from ABC ESPN will join us. Greg Sankey had some strong comments about fixing December from the transfer portal to early signing days. Sankey's recommendations came as the co-chair of the NCAA Transformation Committee. And C.J. Stroud from Ohio State will head to the NFL. After all, can he break the trend of Ohio State QBs that have struggled at the next level? We'll talk some coaching with him as well. Some college coaches may think the quality of life is better in the NFL than it is in the college game right now. Remember when Anthony Herron said that? Plus, we got that crazy story coming out of Florida regarding the NIL and the freshman quarterback and promises that were made. I mean, it's just nuts. Top of the one, speaking of Florida, we'll head to Jacksonville with Mark Long of the AP off of that stunning Jags comeback Saturday night. They will open next weekend's divisional play in Kansas City. I mean, there's no chance that they're the Bengals, that they're not going to do what the Bengals did, right? You remember the Bengals finished last in their division in 2020 and went to the Super Bowl in 2021. This team's not doing that. At the bottom of the one, Clinton Lamb is in from Bama Insider at On3 Sports as the Tide look to replace Pete Golding, who took a lateral gig at best with Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. I mean, obviously Nick Saban endorsed this move, probably encouraged it for 38-year-old Golding. So who are the candidates to replace Pete Golding, and when will we get word on Bill O'Brien being off to the NFL? Over there in that little glass booth, playing the Platters That Matter and the Stacks of Wax and answering the phones, keeping us on the air. Just doing an overall tremendous job. It's DJ Grizzly Grizz.
Who in the blue hell are you? What is your name?
Detective
It doesn't matter what your name is.
I'm the producer of this show. If I didn't step up, you're nowhere. I put this thing together out of spit and polish.
I think this is one of the traits of a really good producer. Keep the talent happy.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Now, Tom. Hey, Tom.
Testosterone high today. Testosterone, whatever the it is.
It really doesn't matter what you think. All right? It really doesn't matter what you say.
Any of you play sports?
Grizz, much to the Phillips chagrin, I'm drinking my coffee out of my electric coffee cup today.
Oh yeah, no. You're gonna electrocute yourself. And
I'm gonna electrocute myself.
It's gonna give you cancer and all that stuff and blah blah blah.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
My phone. I had to put my phone app on to make my coffee or something. I don't know.
Maybe if you use the powdered creamer, don't use the powdered creamer. That's the bad kind.
I do use the powdered creamer.
Use the liquid
Should
kind.
I not use the powdered creamer?
Yeah, use the liquid kind. It's better. Yeah.
I see you have your headphones on today. Did you abscond with one of those little adapters and then don't let anybody touch it?
Oh no,
Just
no,
keep it.
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good to go.
Keep it with your cans. Don't let anybody touch your. I've always listen, Grizz. If there's any bit of advice, if you take any wisdom from me, in any way, shape, or form, okay, as I am now the elder statesman of all of Sports Talk Radio, if you take anything from me, this is what I give you, okay? This is my bit of advice. Don't let anybody touch your equipment. There you go. All right,
well,
there you go.
I understand that by now.
That's from the big dog.
That.
Don't let anybody.
I used to work in the trade, so I understand, brother.
Yeah.
And they call me stupid.
No, don't let anybody touch
use your drill.
Equipment.
Don't use your drill. Don't use your screwdriver. Don't do nothing.
Well, there may be a couple of exceptions to that rule. I mean, if it's the right person as far as touching your equipment. But for the most part, don't let anybody touch your equipment. God, I had a great time doing a hockey game on Saturday night. I forgot how much I enjoy calling a hockey game. I had a good time with it. I mean, it was. I had took a minute to get back up to speed with familiarity with the players and so on.
8-2 bombing.
Oh my gosh! It was 2-0, then 2-2 at the end of the first period.
Yeah.
And then the Havoc dropped a 5-burger on Evansville in the second period of that game, and 6,200 went home happy. I mean, it was just
that's awesome.
It was a good night had by all.
Sold out whole weekend.
Sold out. Just seen the dude that won the wiener dog race. I mean, it was the wiener dog that won the race, but the dude that was the owner of the race. I mean, this guy was right. He was right out of your stereotypical Alabama mullet dude. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm talking about business in the front, party in the back, skin down the sides.
He trains those dogs to race. He's probably
this dude,
the local, the problem now. He's gonna have
usually don't
train dogs.
I'm thinking that maybe he came up from down south, because usually we don't down south Alabama, because in North Alabama we don't have that guy usually. You know what I'm saying? I mean, typically in North Alabama we don't have that guy. That's a South Alabama look. He had that south of Birmingham look going on. I'm just saying. All right, phone lines go open. When we return, our first caller segment, if you want to use it, is next, right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold-certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or cruise on a Cobalt or Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on two services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatewitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
TOC Sports has been there for you. Now, you're probably asking yourself, what does that mean? It means for more than 20 years, Alabama's largest orthopedic group has been there providing coverage and care to more schools and student athletes in the Tennessee Valley than any other group. It means whether you are the star football player, the all-region volleyball ace, or someone who hurt their knee in a weekend pickup basketball game, TOC Sports physicians are proud to have the opportunity to care for all your orthopedic needs. It means for parents, coaches, athletes, desk jockeys, or even weekend warriors, TOC Sports physicians continue to meet and exceed the orthopedic and sports medicine needs of our community. But most importantly, during these challenging times, we're here for you now, and will continue to be here. So as long as there are players on the field, games to be played, and contests to be won, the orthopedic specialists from TOC Sports will be ready to help. We don't know what the future holds, but you can count on the TOC Sports team to stay committed to you, so you can stay in the game. Call 256-539-2728 today and ask to see a TOC Sports physician. Check them out online, also Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect clouds to increase throughout the afternoon. High temperatures look to be topping out in the upper 50s. Rain will start to move into the area once we get into the evening. You can't expect to see widespread rain for your Monday night. We could also see gusty winds as high as 30 miles per hour. Low temperatures expected to fall into the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is the only place for Drew DeArmond, Wes Neighbors, and of course, Thom Abraham.
I never met him, but I hear that he's a man of character.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Segment of the Thom Abraham Show is brought to you by North Alabama Mortgage. Let me tell you something. North Alabama Mortgage, they are second to none when it comes to your mortgage needs. Now, remember, you really need to be pre-approved before you look at properties. Now, most places, they don't even want to book an appointment for you to come and look at the property unless you're pre-approved. Not pre-qualified, but pre-approved. And the mortgage rates have not only stabilized, but they've actually started to creep back down a little bit. So, I think things are okay. It's a good time to jump in with North Alabama Mortgage. Now, the other thing is you have more value in your home than you know. And you can schedule with North Alabama Mortgage, you can schedule. Well, the Bruins are up 2-0 already. They scored their second goal already. No, wait a minute. Maybe it's 1-0. I'm not sure. Anyway, you can have your home valuation done through North Alabama Mortgage. And then you know exactly what you've got in the home, and then you can talk about refinancing and then do great things with that money that you refinance. I refinanced last year with North Alabama Mortgage. The result is that beautiful 1,400 square foot steel barn that is now on my property. And Grizz, I got to tell you now, getting close. The electrical is all done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's done. The electrical is all. Well, the barn went up in December. Well, actually went up Thanksgiving. So the barn went up in Thanksgiving. The electrical is now complete. The lighting is in and all of the stuff is in. And now we have applied to the state for final inspection, which I think I overpaid for. Because I think I paid $35 for a rough-in inspection and $35 for a final. But I don't need a rough inspection because it's open walls. It's not like I'm finishing the walls inside. Right. So it's just a final inspection. So now the guy from the state needs to come down. Supposedly he does this on Wednesday, so we're hoping he'll do this Wednesday. And then when he gets done doing his thing and giving us the approval, my buddy and I did this job. As soon as he gives us the approval on the inspection, then they notify the Winchester Utilities, which will then send a crew out to pull the 200-amp service over to the pole, which is only about 60 feet away. And I installed a underground conduit for that. And then they'll make it hot. And that's what I'm hoping for. Then they'll make it hot.
There you go.
And I'll be so stoked.
It's good that electrician got in and got out. Got to get a quick job.
Yeah, the electrician. Well, I had an electrical contractor, but he ghosted me. Yeah, I still can't find him, and he has my Home Depot card.
Oof, could be a problem.
I'm very upset about that.
Cancel that Home Depot card.
Well,
get your
I
Lowe's
have three. Card. Yeah, I have 3 Home Depot cards, and I don't want to go through the annoyance. I do. I have 3, but I don't want to go through the annoyance of canceling it. It's a pain in the butt and everything else. So I keep kind of monitoring. He's not buying anything on it other than the $700 worth of materials he bought for my job, right? Which we used up. So I don't know what to do. I may have to. I have an idea. I know where he is, and so I just may take one or two of the boys with me.
Was it like
and just go see him?
Wasn't it like Norm Macdonald had like a reality TV show for like a season where they went around and they like found like bad contractors and stuff and like exploited them? You got to do that with John. He's got his blonde hair now. He's distracting me over there, and he could run around as like the host, and you guys could like exploit really bad contractors. Call it like the big dog.
Would you call that blonde or would you call that pink?
Well, I guess I saw it really quickly, and I had to turn around. It's quick or pink blonde. It's like strawberry
pink.
blonde. Yeah,
strawberry blonde. Yeah. My oldest son did that when he was like 15 years old, and never did it again. I don't know. I really don't know what Captain Cool is doing, but I don't think we can call him Captain Cool. Look with that. I mean, I think he's Captain Pink.
He's Captain Ken now.
Captain Candy. Captain Candy is. I don't know what. I don't know what
he looks
to
like
do.
Ken over there, man. He's just gonna come with a new attire each week, and it's just a new style.
Eat your vitamin, say your prayers, and stick it straight up all your candy asses.
Yeah. Yeah,
I couldn't do it. I give him props. I couldn't do it. If I had blonde hair, that'd be Brad. I don't have enough hair to even put blonde hair.
I saw him coming in the back door, and he had before he had put his hat on, which he was smart to be wearing a hat when he walked in front of me. I thought he had just frosted. I thought he went with tips. You know,
I did that once. I did that once. I was like, never again.
Yeah, I was going to be okay with it. I was going to be like, oh, okay, he frosted the tips. All right, I was going to be good with it. Then he walks in and he has this strawberry blonde, pinkish, purplish looking thing. I don't know. And the funny thing is the haircut itself is good. The cut is good. It just needs to be. Is he embarrassed to be Italian? Is that what it is? I mean, he should have dark hair.
Italians.
Yeah, the ones from northern Italy, the ones from up in the Alps, the Italian Alps. I mean, it's just disturbing. By the way, Grizz, we are both 2-3 in Beat the Big Dog.
Ugh, rough.
We are both on the Bucks tonight, so I will remain one game back of you, one way or the other. We're either going to go 2-4 or 3-3. Yeah. Badger Larry is 3-2, and he is on the Cowboys tonight. So we could all go 3-3.
Yeah.
Now I am pulling for Dallas. I really am. I'm pulling for the Cowboys because I'm done with Tom Brady. I'm done with the Bucks. I'm pulling for the Cowboys, but I think the Cowboys haven't won a road playoff game since when? What year were you born?
89. So their last was 95.
I don't even think. I think it was longer than that. Was it 95?
I thought it was like 95 was their last one.
I think it was 92.
Because I was born in 89.
92.
92?
92 was their last. 92.
Still, that's
they
bad.
Beat the 49ers in Candlestick. It was January of 93. It was the 92 season. It was January of 93. It was the How About Them Cowboys game. How about them Cowboys? It was that game.
And we don't do that.
It was 30 years ago when they won that, when they last won a thing. Let me tell you, 30 years ago, I was a young 32-year-old college assistant coach. You were 3 years old.
Yes.
Maybe. You weren't even 3. You were 2 years old, fin to be 3 years old in January of 93. I was 32 years old. 32-year-old assistant coach. I only had 5 kids then. I only had 5 children then.
Wait, you were 32 then?
I was 32 and had 5 children.
Yeah, I'm 33 now. 0 children.
I was younger than Grizz.
That I know of.
When the Cowboys last won a road playoff game, I was younger than Grizz, okay? That's what I was.
Woo.
What else? I'll have to look up other things in January of 1993. All right, let's get a break. When we come back, Tom Luginbill will join us next right here on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
Steve Moulton here with Carrie Rosenblum from Rosenblum Realty. Carrie, for those looking to get their home on the market, what do they need to do?
Well, certainly give us a call, Steve. But what we'll do is come out, look at your home, but also give you, more importantly, what the market is doing about the value of your home, what it's going to bring, again, what the process is going to be to get you to eventually a closing table so you have real money to reinvest or do something else with. So that's very important to know. You get to a closing table with no surprises. Call us at 256-539-9501 or rosenblumrealty.com.
The Huntsville Sports Commission is responsible for bringing high-level sports entertainment to the Rocket City. In 2023, enjoy events like the CCSA Beach Volleyball Championships, Hometown Lenders Championship, UCI Paracycling Road World Cup, and so much more. To learn more about upcoming events and the Huntsville Sports Commission, visit huntsvillesports.com. The Huntsville Sports Commission. We do sports.
Champy's famous fried chicken started in Chattanooga, but the history of the fried chicken, hand-rolled Mississippi Delta tamales, and comfort food sides started decades before. Champy's famous fried chicken is made from an old family recipe from down in the Delta, and everything is fresh and homemade, including all of the sides and desserts. Come visit Champy's famous fried chicken. You'll find it's the best fried chicken and hand-rolled tamales you've ever had. On Madison Boulevard in the old Bison's location in the Publix Plaza with 22 taps in the full-service bar and 2 outdoor patios. See ya at Champy's.
I want to thank you. Thank you for making us your number one choice for sports talk in North Alabama.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Here's another one. 30 years ago tomorrow is the last time the Dallas Cowboys won a road playoff game. 30 years ago tomorrow. Here's another one. 30 years ago, what's today? Martin Luther King Day, right? 30 years ago, Wednesday, it was the first Martin Luther King Day. All right? The very first Martin Luther King Day. So, Grizz,
Really?
as far as you know, yeah, there's been Martin Luther King Day your whole life. But the first Martin Luther King Day was 30 years ago, okay? 30 years ago in January is when Alabama beat Miami to win the first Sears Trophy. And I was there at the AFCA banquet when Gene Stallings received that trophy. I was a 32-year-old assistant coach of college football. That's how long it's been since the last time the Cowboys won a road game.
Old.
You know who used to work for the You know who used to work for the Cowboys? Thom Luganville.
Oh.
He knows something about this
guy.
whole...
I know that guy.
I don't know what he was doing. Look, I have no
Heard of
idea
that
what
guy.
Lugs was doing in January of 93, but I can tell you he did work for the Cowboys at one particular point in time, and he's brought to us by Woody Anderson Ford in the service department there, which is second to none. They've been bringing us Lugs for years now, and he does a tremendous job with ABC, ESPN, et al. He has a coaching background himself. He has a background in personnel, and of course runs everything recruiting for ESPN, and does a tremendous job on the sidelines and in the booth when he's working in the booth as well for ABC and ESPN and college football, and he joins us. Now, Lugs, what were you doing in January of 93, Lugs?
Celebrating a 12-0 season as a junior college sophomore and winning the national championship and breaking the all-time national passing record for yards as a junior college player. Now,
wow.
Let's go back another year. You referenced the 1992 Sugar Bowl. That always hits a spot with me, and my dad and I talk about this all the time. If you remember that 1992 season, that was the year that Gino Torretta won the Heisman Trophy over Marshall Faulk.
Right.
And we always joke about it, and I even joke with Gino about it today. I'm like, dude, you weren't even the best player on your own team, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
And he chuckles about it because Marshall easily should have won the Heisman Trophy his sophomore year, and against that Miami team ended up rushing for like 150-something yards.
Right.
So, yeah, I remember those times. I was a San Diego Chargers ball boy from 1990 to 1993. And I try to think back, I think back to some of those days. And
wait a minute, you were in college then? While you were in college?
Yeah, so I would.
You were the ball boy while you were in college? Okay. Yeah.
We'd play on Friday nights in high school, and then I'd probably either go to wherever I could to get to my dad's road games at San Diego State, or it'd be a home game, and then the next day I'd drive down to Jack Murphy Stadium, and I'd spend the whole day there as a ball boy, and I did that even in junior college. My games were on Saturdays, and then I would drive to Jack Murphy Stadium on Sundays as a ball boy. And it's actually funny, you referenced that 1993, is in the 2 years I've played junior college football in San Diego, 40 miles max from San Diego State, my dad got to see me play one game.
Oh, my gosh.
One game he got to see me play was the junior college national championship because he got fired 5 days before.
And, my connection to the Murph, I've often told the story. I broadcast the last football game ever at Jack Murphy Stadium, Qualcomm, whatever it became. Yeah, the Birmingham Iron against the San Diego Fleet in the U.S. in whatever it was, the Alliance or whatever that.
The Alliance.
The Alliance of American Football. That was the last game before they shut the league down. And Mike Johnson, former Alabama offensive lineman Mike Johnson, and myself, we did that game. And the thing I always remember about that game was, one, the broadcast booth was almost in the end zone, which I hate, and they're doing that to a lot of stadiums now for radio, and it really is wrong. I mean, they're putting guys in bad spots. It's like, come on, man. I know that real estate at the 50 is important, but at least throw us somewhere on the side. Don't throw us on that, in the end zone. We're trying to call a radio, trying to call a game. But the other thing I remembered is that the charter plane that the Birmingham Iron had chartered out of Miami, Mike Johnson. So I actually stayed a couple of days because I got a daughter who lives in San Diego. My wife and I visited with her, and Mike took the charter back. The plane was painted yellow. It was sold. It had ashtrays on it, and they ended up they flew from San Diego. Had to put the plane down in Phoenix and get another plane to fly the rest of the way because the plane wasn't acting right. And that was there's your AAF story. You know what I mean?
Like Major League.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, "Why is there ashtray?" Mike's too young to remember when they smoked on planes. Mike's like, "Why is there ashtrays on the plane?" Like that place.
No kidding.
Think about it. Think about it. That's old. All right. Speaking of wacky stuff, have you been following this story at all of Jaden Rashada, the four-star quarterback? I mean, this goes to all of these NIL questions, right? And just for our listeners' sake, in June, Rashada commits to Miami. November 10th, Rashada and a Florida donor from their collective, the Gator Collective, which of course has nothing to do with the school. It's just a Gator Collective, but it's just named after Gator Collective. They agree on an NIL deal exceeding $13 million, and he flips to the Gators. Then a month later, the collective sends a termination letter regarding the contract, and there's all kinds of questions about why the deal fell through. December 21st, Billy Napier's signing day press conference is delayed an hour, and Rashada's name first isn't on it, and then his name is put on it. Then Rashada makes all these wonderful comments about Napier, and he's going to enroll early, and then he didn't. And so now there's going to be a lawsuit. First of all, why is he getting a $13 million NIL deal as a four-star quarterback? And this is, here we go. This is the ugly underbelly of this stuff and these contracts. This story here is crazy.
Well, it is crazy, and it won't be the last time either. There was going to be one of these, and it just happened to be that this was the first one. Now, in fairness, everything that The Athletic has written, everything that we have heard is speculation. It has not been confirmed. Nothing has been documented that anybody's actually seen, right? So let's just, in fairness, I'm not saying that there isn't layers of truth to all of this, but what we know right now is almost pure speculation. Now, the problem, Tom, that's going to come out is if it can be either corroborated, proven, or documented with ink on dotted lines, I don't care what anybody says. Florida will be tied to this, too. It doesn't matter if it's a collective and it's not the university. The number one thing they said you can't do is what they're doing right here. And it's not just exclusive to them. It's happening everywhere. It was just a matter of time before somebody failed to fulfill their end of the agreement and renege on a deal. And now all of a sudden you've got parents, you've got runners, you've got third parties, you've got agents, you've got players that are going to have the upper hand in all of this. And I don't know how Florida works with this or how they work around it or how they get out of being involved in it, because this is a huge, huge no-no, and it's going to lead to further problems with more universities and more players. But let's really get to the core of what you just asked me. How is anybody, whether you are a 22-year-old senior coming out of college with a chemistry degree, or you're a 17-year-old high school football player, how does anybody garner that type of money? It's laughable. I mean, I don't believe any of these numbers. I really don't, Tom. Until I see some of these numbers actually documented, I don't believe hardly any of these numbers that are thrown out, but particularly for prospects, not just at high school, but at the collegiate level too, that haven't done anything to earn it yet.
Well, there apparently is like a pay scale almost with these collectives. Quarterbacks that are 5-star quarterbacks are worth X, and running backs are worth Y, and edge rushers are worth. I mean, there's some sort of a standard now as to what these guys are worth, and what deals are 7-figure deals, and who gets 6-figure deals, and all of that. And in most cases, they're multi-year type deals. This was $13 million over 4 years. What happens when a kid leaves? When the kids transfer, do they have to? Do they just the deal is torn up? If it's not related to the school, aren't those people still beholding to that? Doesn't that kid still owe that money? Because if you say, "Look, Nico Imaleva, you only get this money if you're at Tennessee," then you're violating the NIL regulation. That kid transfers to USC in 2 years. Does he take the money with him?
Yes, he does, and that's the problem in all of this, because you can't put any type of performance stipulations or metrics that have to be met in order to earn the actual name, image, and likeness income, which is the core of the problem here. Now, why can't you do that? Because the moment you do that, you're violating antitrust rules because they're not employees. And so I've been asked this 6 ways from Sunday just about every day of the week for the last 3-4 months since a lot of this stuff started getting blown up. And they said, well, what is the fix? We can't put the paste back in the tube. You're right, you can't. So the only way that this gets fixed is through collective bargaining. It's the only way you're going to stay out of court, that parameters, rules, and guidelines will be set forth that both the players and the institutions, or whatever it is, come to an agreement on. And that's the only way that this thing is going to get settled out, because this is such a mess out there right now, and I know people use the phrase "wild, wild west" and things of that nature, and it is. I mean, that's what it is. But at the same time, I think the biggest issue that a lot of us have with this, and I know I certainly do, is if you're a high school football player who's a high-profile recruit, and you haven't done anything to earn that, but people are going to pay you money with no stipulations to perform. I mean, that's not the real world. That would be like earning your college degree, having no experience, and lining up 20 different suitors and demanding what your bottom line is, and you haven't done anything. Would any corporation or business in the world do that? No.
Well,
but we're doing it here.
Well, in all fairness, Tom, yeah, the NFL used to do that before they came up with the rookie salary cap. I mean, you remember Sam Bradford getting a $70 million guaranteed deal, and he had done nothing in the NFL. They didn't know if he was going to be. He was a great college player. Yeah, and exactly, and they had to fix it. So that's what they would have to do now. Now, here's a question. Tom Luganville with us. He's much smarter than me on this stuff. And here's a question that I've been asked, and that I told the listener that I would ask you. And you may not know the answer either. But here's the deal. If a kid say it's this kid, say these numbers are real, whatever they are, hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever, and he gets an NIL deal, why does he have to take his scholarship? Why can't the school then use that scholarship that they were going to use on that guy? Would they be able to use that for another scholarship player, or is NIL only available to scholarship players? In other words, so how does that all work? Because you would think that if a kid's getting, $1 million or whatever, does he really need a $30,000, $40,000 scholarship if he's making all this other money?
Yes, he would be on scholarship and have the ability to make money, and NIL can be afforded to walk-ons as well. That's the whole BYU thing. You remember BYU? I think it was almost 2 years ago. They have a collective out there that is essentially taking all of the walk-ons and putting them on scholarship. And it's not.
But can a scholarship player not take his scholarship and it goes to another player because he got NIL money?
Potentially, I think that you could do that. Yeah, he would be treated as a walk-on. The question then becomes, is he afforded, if he's on the football team, is he afforded any of the medical perks and all of those sorts of things? That's another question that I wouldn't be quite sure of. But could he play and not be on scholarship? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if kid's making $4 or $5 million a year, I mean, maybe you say.
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Like
that's the one that's confusing, right?
Well, no, not whether they can do it. The numbers that are being thrown around. I mean, this whole thing's going to come crashing down, Tom. And I'm looking at and I'll be the first one to say, don't misunderstand me. If you are a young student athlete, if you're in high school and you're a high profile guy, if you're a productive guy at the collegiate level, and you have the opportunity and you're in this window to take a bag and go, do it. I'm just telling you, do it right now, because it's all going to come to a screeching halt at some point. It's only a matter of time. It's inevitable.
I want to know what they're doing for it. You know what I mean? If you're paying a kid that kind of money, How many appearances can he make at the car dealership that are worth that kind of money? How many autograph signing things? What in God's name is a kid doing to earn that kind of money off of his name, image, and likeness? What? You made a calendar? I mean, what?
You know what he's doing? He's putting the name, image, and likeness sponsor out of business. Because eventually that's what's going to happen. Listen, I know there are boosters and power brokers and collectors and a bunch of wealthy people out there that if they lose $4 or $5 million, it's like you and I walking down the street and a $5 bill falls out of our pocket. Yeah. But the vast majority of the wealth that's out there supporting this is going to want a return on investment. So, like, I look at somebody like a Bryce Young, right? Bryce Young is one of the main guys out there who signed a name, image, and likeness deal, and a couple of them, prior to ever actually producing. But then guess what? He produced.
Yeah.
He performed. He's earning every cent of that. That's not the case with most name, image, and likeness deals.
Yeah,
and
I would say,
so.
He did those commercials for the Heisman House and for Dr. Pepper.
And they got their replaced at Dr. Pepper.
And they got their money for that. You know what I mean? They got their worth for that. Who did he replace at Dr. Pepper?
He replaced DJ Uyunglele, who, guess what, didn't perform and no longer has an NIL deal. And that's what I think needs to get across to these kids, is even though there are not performance metrics and standards in the contracts, because there can't be, it's not a free ride. And I think that's the concern that a lot of people have here, because you just asked the question that everybody's asking. What are they actually having to do for this?
Right.
Like, and that's not real life. I mean, there are no free rides, and at some point or another, that kid's either got to perform or he's not going to have value. And then all of a sudden, you're going to say, well, wait a minute, why did you take my NIL deal away? Well, because you're third team and you're crying and moping and bitching all the time, and why would we sponsor that?
Yeah,
that's going to happen too if it hasn't already.
Tom Luganville with us here. All right, final thing. Greg Sankey, co-chair of the Division I Transformation Committee, that approved these transfer windows and so on. He said there was a notion that we needed these long windows to alleviate pressure. I think we created pressure for young people. He said, I would suggest that we pivot back. He said, quote, we have to fix December. Maybe it doesn't have to be the first Wednesday in February like it is, but we have to get through the postseason. We have to get through coaching transition. He says it ought to be done in the appropriate time frame. It should not be disrupting seasons. He said the SEC wasn't the one that pushed for the early signing period. But he said that basically this has caused so much havoc. And now we're going to add extra layers of playoffs in December. It's going to be even more whacked. I mean, he's right. I mean, we need to get this whole thing out of December. Everything, transfer window, all the signing day, all that stuff. So these coaches and these teams can finish a season and somehow do this beginning January 15th or February 1st, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you and I actually talked about this a couple of weeks back, and I think, Greg Sankey and myself are kind of thinking the same way, because I know I shared with you that whatever the fix is, the transfer portal window cannot overlap and go past signing day. Mm. You have to have one be concluded so you can do the next so that everybody knows what the numbers are, right? Now, does that mean you remove it all from December? I don't know. I don't think the transfer portal period should be 45 days. You shouldn't just be able to go in there and float around, and you're going to, listen, if you've been tampered with, you already know where you stand. That's number one. That is number one right there. But I promise you, if you go into the transfer portal, you're going to know what your value is in less than a week, because they're either going to be calling you or they're not. It's that simple. So why do we have this window for 45 days? So you could have a 2-week window in December, have it be over with, still do your signing period. All right, now you have that over with. Play your bowl games and the whole 9 yards. You go into December, you have your normal dead periods and contact periods and all of that. Or we could do what Greg Sankey's talking about and get back to a one signing period situation. All right. You have the transfer portal part of it be the first 3 weeks of December with no signing period. Then the transfer portal part of it ends. We get past bowl season. Then we charge up to signing period. And then you still have your open transfer window in May. So either way, there are fixable options here that would benefit everybody. But I chuckle like, Give me the name of that committee. What was the name of the committee you just said?
It's the Division I Transformation Committee. They met for a week to come up with all these things that have to be changed. The Division I Transformation Committee. He's the co-chair of it, and he said that look, we got to fix this stuff because it's out of control. Especially when you add more playoff games. I mean, you can't. He said because it trickles down to other members of staffs and things like that. He said Hugh Freeze had to deal with this while his team was still playing regular season games. He had to deal with because they were. He says that ADs have told them, look, with the early signing period, we have to accelerate coaching transition. And we have to have our coaches hired by late November, early December. And so that's what's causing all this chaos before the season's even over.
And I agree with that to a certain extent, but I agree with it more when we didn't have the transfer portal. Because, yes, you'd be up against it. You're trying to salvage a recruiting class, and the only chance you have is with high school kids. But now, even if you get hired in the first week of December, because of the transfer portal, you don't have as much pressure on you for signing day with high school kids as you used to, because you have the opportunity to utilize both signing periods, and it's not just relegated to the high school player. So you can salvage things better now, even if you were hired in December, than you could before, because you have access to the transfer portal. But I find these transformative whatever committees and all this is all great, and I hope it comes up with solutions. But I even think Greg Sankey and anybody else on that committee would sit there and tell you that if you actually sat down and did all of this stuff before you dumped the most transformative legislation and maybe the history of college athletics on everybody's lap, you would have avoided a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have run into a lot of these problems because they didn't prepare for any of it. They just let it happen.
It's a great point. Thom Luginbill has been our guest. Lugs, I appreciate you so much. Always great to talk to you, my friend.
All right, man. Thanks for having me. Take care.
All right, let's get a break. We will come back and have a short segment and get this thing on track towards the top of the hour next, right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year with 0% interest. We've got financing as low as 0% APR for 36 months on 2022 and 2023 models of F-150, Explorer, Edge, and Escape. Plus, there's an extra $1,000 bonus cash on F-150 XLT. Come on in to Woody Anderson Ford today and choose from over 100 F-150s and nearly 50 Explorers. I bet you can find exactly what you're looking for. And we've also got longer-term financing as low as 4.9% for up to 72 months. It's available on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Edge, Escape, and Mustang. With your good credit, these offers are through Ford Motor Credit. Offers end January 31st. At Woody Anderson Ford, we'd be glad to walk you through the online ordering, too. Plus, you'll get $1,000 bonus cash. Come see us and let's get 2023 off to a great start. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan at Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
Hi, this is Wes Neighbors. I'm here with Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Sam, tell the folks about Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Hey Wes, our company Fleming Roofing and Restoration specializes in commercial and residential roofing and repairs. I'm a fifth-generation Huntsvillian, and our family's been doing construction business in Huntsville area since 1965.
Sam, what kind of roofs does Fleming Roofing and Restoration do?
Our guys are skilled enough. We can come out and address any kind of leaks or issues you might have on your commercial, on your metal roofing, on your shingles. We can do anything, and we can offer you a solution to repair it, or we can replace it.
Well, you guys also do insurance restoration.
Our staff has 10-plus years of experience as insurance adjusters, and we really do know the inside and out of the claims process at Fleming Roofing and Restoration.
Check out Fleming Roofing and Restoration online at FlemingHSV.com, or you can call or text them at 256-651-9440.
Hey, Wes, we show up.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Somewhere between heaven and the tall pine trees.
Coming up at the top of the hour, Mark Long is going to join us from the AP in North Florida. A stunning comeback. 27-0. The Chargers were. Has they fired Brandon Staley yet, Grizz? I mean, come on.
Not that I know of. I would be one of the people to sign that petition and get him fired or whatever I got to do to get him out of there. I'll help him move. I'll help him move.
They made the playoffs last year, right? I mean, so they've made the playoffs in both of his years. Is that right? Did they make the playoffs? Yeah, they were in the playoffs last year.
Well, that's like he played for a tie last year. Did he not make? He didn't make the playoffs last year, I thought, because they played for a tie and they took a timeout and the Raiders went to the playoffs. Remember? I think did they both go to the playoffs? I think they both went to the playoffs.
They both went.
Yeah,
to the
they
playoffs.
took a timeout and the Raiders and I think it was stupid. But it's just like. It's weird. He's a big analytics guy that just doesn't make sense a lot of times, and he's the kind of guy that, like, it's just, how do you have all this talent on offense and you just can't get it right? I just don't understand it.
Blow a 27-point lead.
New Falcons.
Crazy.
New Falcons. We're about the same as the Atlanta Falcons, honestly. It was bad. The new logo came out.
For who?
For the Falcons. It's pretty much the bolt inside the Falcon. It's just bad. I don't know if you've seen it. You should look at it. Pretty bad.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah,
you mean it's a gag thing because they blew the lead? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's bad though.
The Houston Oilers think that it was a terrible blown lead. All right, Mark Long is next. Thom Abraham Show, 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
We love our pets, and when we need boarding or vet services, we want the best. That's why we chose Paradise Pet Resort and Spa. Everything our pets needed, all in one place. Boarding for both dogs and cats. doggy daycare, grooming and spa services, web cameras, and top-notch vet care, too. It's a true Paradise Pet Resort for your furry friends, serving all of North Alabama. Find out everything you need to know and book services online at ParadisePetResortAndSpa.com. Located in Madison, just off 565 at Wall Triana, behind Cracker Barrel.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Cowboys and Buccaneers cap off Super Wildcard Weekend with their NFC clash on Monday Night Football. Main broadcast, 8 Eastern, ABC and ESPN TV, with the Manningcast on ESPN2. Tampa Bay center Ryan Jensen activated from injured reserve, so he's eligible to return tonight. Jensen's been sidelined the entire season with a knee injury suffered on the second day of training camp. Another injury for the Bengals on their offensive line. Left tackle Jonah Williams left the AFC wildcard win over the Ravens with a left knee injury. Cincinnati entered the game last night without two starters on the right side of the O-line. No word yet if Williams will be able to play in Sunday's divisional playoff game in Buffalo. USC receiver Jordan Addison declared for the upcoming NFL draft. Addison, who won the Biletnikoff Award as the nation's top receiver in 2021, widely expected to be a first-round pick in April.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You need to be more like a dog.
Like what you guys are doing. You've got your fingertip on the pulse of your listeners. Guys know what they're talking about.
Be a dog.
God bless the show. You are the Messiah.
We need more dogs.
This is the best show on radio.
The big dog, Thom Abraham, is here with you.
Hey, I see you. I see you, dog.
So settle in and get your bark on.
That's my dog.
Now live, here he is, the big dog.
Let's go, baby!
Thom Abraham.
How you doing? 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 Look, I don't speak Spanish.
I don't know how to say this, so I'm going to choose my words very carefully. I think you're a psycho.
Do you know who I am?
I mean, that guy sounds like El McPherson farting into Miles Davis' trumpet.
I guess I'm on here. Am I on? Can somebody respond? Get off my lawn.
I have to drag my Yankee ass out of here.
Cook puts it down. Patterson's kick is up. The field goal is good! 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 The Jaguars have won it! The Jaguars have won it! They have come back from 27-0 to win the game and move on! How good is that?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I'm broadcasting the hockey game on Saturday night, and I'm passing along the scores of the game. It gets to 27-0. I'm like, look, people, you've got no reason to pay attention to that. It's 27-0. That thing's over. That's a blowout. Just stay right here with the hockey game because that thing is over.
He was pulling his best Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, it was done.
I thought it was over.
It was over. I get in my truck. There's 3 minutes to go, and I'm listening to listen to the game on my way home. And there's 3 minutes to go, and they're talking about, like, you know, driving for a field goal to win the game. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, what are you talking about? And the Jags get the win. It's just absolutely crazy. Joining us now from North Florida, where he covers the Jags and the Gators for the AP, it's Mark Long. He is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Mark, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, Tom. Long time. How you been?
I am fantastic. Have they taken the tarps, by the way, off of that upper deck yet over there at that stadium? You know, without I would imagine people are pretty fired up for these Jags right now.
Yeah, the tarps came off in 2017. and have never gone back on. So, yeah, it's good for them.
Yeah, no, it is fantastic for them. They need to stop going to Europe, too. Don't give up any more home games. I would imagine next year, off of the results of this year, people would be upset if they ship another home game off to London or Spain or wherever they're going.
I still think they're going to play in London. It's too financially lucrative for them, and they've got a big stadium project coming. They're going to redo that stadium. They're going to drop the number of seats, probably about 10,000. I think the thought is from 67 to 57 could impact Florida, Georgia moving forward. But they're going to make that a little bit cozier of a stadium, have some temp seats for Florida, Georgia, and reimagine that thing to where everybody's covered out of the sun, out of the rain, out of the whatever. And, good football. There won't be any excuses anymore.
No, cover the people. I don't care if you want to do like Miami, cover the people, but please leave the stadium open and leave it grass. Right? We're losing too many natural grass. We want natural grass and let the players play in the element. If it happens to be a rain, if it happens to rain, it rains. I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's football. I cover up the people, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, they're not switching to turf. It's going to be grass, and it's exactly what you said, similar to Miami in terms of. Yeah, in terms of having the fans will be covered, but the playing surface will not.
This game was a microcosm of the entire Jaguar season, right? I mean, they started out slowly. They were kind of sucking, and Trevor Lawrence was throwing the ball to the other team. And then they started building some momentum, and then they came on gangbusters at the end. I mean, it's really amazing. It's the whole season in a nutshell.
Well, 9 of their last 10 games, they've trailed early, and I think 6 of those 9 they've trailed by double digits, and they've won 7 of those 9. So it's really unbelievable how this team has just clawed its way back against decent opponents. They trailed Baltimore earlier in the season. They trailed the Raiders by 17. They trailed the Cowboys by 17. Trailed the Titans by 10. And then this one's the doozy of all doozies, 27 points, and most people had written them off. They did not write themselves off. They never even wavered in the huddle if you talk to enough people. And, they just fought their way back. It's unbelievable, and everything went their way, and all of a sudden they end up with the third biggest comeback in NFL postseason history.
No, it is. It's tremendous, and there's got to be so much excitement for them going forward, regardless of how long this run goes into playoffs. Because, look, Houston and Indianapolis are dumpster fires right now. They got a long ways to go. I feel like the Titans are, you've peaked with Derrick Henry, and I feel like that he's got to start a decline here pretty soon. And the quarterback situation there is pretty much a mess. It feels like the Titans might go into a rebuild type of mode. This division is Jacksonville's to have for the next several years if as young as they are and they continue to play this kind of football. This could do nothing but set them up as not only the favorite in 2023, and of course the NFL is so crazy week to week, year to year, but still you have to feel like Jacksonville has certainly the most upside of anybody right now in that division.
Yeah, and they have talked about that internally. I think Doug Peterson has really almost admitted it, that the division's a dumpster fire. And the Titans don't have a GM or a quarterback. Houston and they're built around a 29-year-old running back. Houston doesn't have a head coach, and Indianapolis doesn't have. We don't know what they're going to do at head coach. Don't know what they're going to do at GM, and they certainly don't have a quarterback at all either. Now, all of those teams could draft a guy. They all picked high enough. They could draft a guy, but right now they're chasing the Jags, and it's not even close, to be honest. I think probably the Jags should have swept that. They should have gone 6-0 in the division this year. They didn't. They went 4-2, but they easily could have gone 6-0. They had a chance to beat Houston at home and lost, and had a chance to win at Indianapolis and lost that one. But they really are the better team and built for the long haul because they got the quarterback, the head coach, and they got a lot of young talent.
And the quarterback did something that only Gary Danielson, when he was with Detroit, and Craig Morton, when he was with Denver, had done, and that's throw 4 interceptions in the first half of a playoff game. But then he came back like gangbusters and leads them to this win. And, if there were any question about Trevor Lawrence, and there were, at the beginning, some people were saying, Jesus, is this kid, all hat, no cattle? Certainly that is going away quickly. A game like this can propel him in a big, big way, especially against the guy in Justin Herbert, who seems to be the opposite of him. Justin Herbert, he always seems to look great, especially early in games or whatever, and for whatever reason, doesn't seem to be able to finish the deal, whereas Lawrence seems to be a finisher.
Yeah, the guy's unwaverable. I mean, that's really what it is. You just can't rattle him. And I don't know if it's his personality or the personality of the coach or maybe the guys around him, but that's really what we figured out here is that these turnovers, and they kept happening earlier in his career, bother him a little bit and they snowball a little bit, but he's figured that out. And that's the number one thing that he'll say, and everybody in the building says, is that he knows how to snap back and bounce back and just completely unfazed. And you saw that Saturday night, when it didn't bother him after the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one. Most guys would have been in the fetal position by then, certainly done for the game. Guys would have been benched. Guys would have been all kinds of head issues going on. Not Trevor Lawrence. He just buckled down and got it done. That touchdown pass at the end of the second quarter, right before halftime, was huge. And then, he got a ton of help. I mean, they got all the calls, and the defense stepped up and really put the clamps on everything the Chargers were trying to do. But, you can't look at that comeback and not say it was Trevor Lawrence. It was iconic Trevor Lawrence at his best by all regards.
And another big part of this has been Evan Ingram. I mean, this guy has just come out of nowhere to kind of resuscitate his career, and has been a huge, huge part of what they've been doing.
Yeah, and he's going to get paid big time. He bet on himself this year after, I think 5 years in New York with the Giants. He bet on himself and signed a 1-year deal, $9 million. The Jags wanted to sign for longer, but he said, listen, I'm going to get this done. I'm going to prove myself that I can stay healthy, that I can catch the ball, that I'm a big-time playmaker. And to his credit, that's exactly what he's done. Now he's going to get a huge payday. The Jags want to keep him, but you got to start wondering if he's pricing himself out of Jacksonville by the way he's playing. But that whole staff, that whole receiving corps, Evan Ingram, Marvin Jones, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, there's not an ego between the four of them, and that's the crazy part. And I say that with knowing people out there are going to be skeptical because, you're an NFL player, you're at a position that's filled with divas. Of course you're going to have egos. These guys don't. It's unbelievable, Tom. I've never seen anything like it. This is my 25th year covering the NFL. I've never seen anything like the lack of egos in that locker room, specifically at those positions. They just don't care in terms of, who gets the credit, who's got the big game, who's getting the ball. They all know, they're part of it. And on any given week, they're going to be the guy who wins the game. On Saturday night, it was all four of them because they all got a touchdown catch.
Well, Christian Kirk is another one that was an underperformer, and I wonder how much of this credit do we give to Doug Peterson, because he is that egoless guy. He was an egoless guy as a player, a career backup who came in and did some good things throughout his career. And then, at Philadelphia where he won a Super Bowl, again, not a big look at me kind of guy. And just somehow they bought into this. They went from Urban Meyer to Doug Peterson in 1 year. Everybody talked about how the culture and this and that, how, you got to change the culture. Obviously, it doesn't take real long to do that if you're the right guy. And, Peterson's got to get a ton of the credit for this.
All the credit, really, he deserves, because he took over a team that had won 4 games in its previous 2 seasons. They'd gone through 2 head coaches, different assistant coaches, and, it was just a mess inside that building. Doug comes in, he understands that these guys had gotten burned by Urban Meyer and they needed to heal. And so he gave them some time and gave them some resources to try to build some camaraderie and make these guys trust the coaching staff again, because they really hadn't after last season. So that's a big one on Doug. And here's the crazy part. Doug Peterson was the first coach they interviewed, and they doubled back to him 5 weeks later. They were really zeroed in on Byron Leftwich and Nathaniel Hackett. And Nate Hackett's already been fired, and Byron Leftwich could be a scapegoat at the end of this Buck season. So you look at, how this thing unfolded, and it's really probably dumb luck to some degree, but they got turned, Hackett signs with the Broncos, and all of a sudden they can't, they're not going to get Byron with a GM package, so it ends up they have to kind of double back to Peterson, and it's been the best move. But Doug will be the first one to say, he understands the way the league works. Everybody wants that shiny new penny, right? And the young up-and-coming offensive coordinator. And that's not Doug. He's, late 50s, been around the league a long time. But, man, what a great hire. And it's really a shame, probably for the rest of the league. It's great for the Jags, but really a testament and a shame to the rest of the league that he wasn't more in demand last year. I think he only officially interviewed with one other team, and I think that was the Chicago Bears.
That's what happens when you're not a self-promoter. Mark Long with us from the AP in North Florida. And back to Trevor Lawrence here now as he completes his third year. And what you're looking at, look, he's under team control for another couple of years, really, if they pick up the fifth-year option. But we have seen other quarterbacks certainly get deals and extensions and so on earlier on. And Shad Khan's got all kinds of money. This is not the most profitable team in the NFL with, outside of the owners' own deep pockets. But they've got Trevor Lawrence right now. He's making, on average, $9 million a year for 4 years. He's making $9 million a year when there are quarterbacks in the league that are making $30, $40, and $50 million. And we saw Kyler Murray get this big deal, early before he got to the end of his rookie deal. What is next for Trevor Lawrence? How do they keep that guy in? Because I would think that that's the key to the whole thing.
Yeah, and like you said, they've got a window right now where they can really pay everybody around him and get those guys paid, and they've got a window of opportunity here to maybe go win a title in his first 5 years while they do have him under a lot of cap control and financially feasible. Now, he's going to, this is their guy for 10 years. There's no reason to ever let him get out of Jacksonville. He likes it here. His wife likes it here. The city has embraced him. The team has embraced him. He's, by all regards, is an ideal, perfect quarterback for everybody to build around. This is not a prima donna. This is not a guy out gallivanting and doing some of the things that we've seen other quarterbacks do and get in trouble for doing. This guy is a great citizen. So that's the guy you want to keep in your building. That's the guy you want to pay, but you want to, probably push that off as long as you can before you have to pay him $30, $40, $50 million a year, which is the going rate. So, yeah, there is a little bit of a window here where he's, really low in the cap, and you can surround him with high-priced guys.
You wonder, if he didn't have the personality he has, you wonder at what point in time one of these quarterbacks, if they have a great, great year like this within the first 5 years of their rookie deal, says, I'm not coming in for year 4. I can't come and play for another $9 million. I'm not going to do that. Not when these guys are getting paid the kind of dough that they're getting paid. He is not that kind of a guy, but you just wonder about it. All right, before I let you go, explain to us the mindset of the North Floridian in this whole Duval thing, because it seems like they want to be the Duval Jaguars more than they even want to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's I don't know what was behind it originally, but I have never seen a team be so recognized with the county that they're in as opposed to the city that they're in. So what is behind this whole Duval thing? Because obviously, that is taken hold.
Yeah, it's a rallying cry. Duval, and if you want to spell it correctly, it's 3 U's, right? D-U-U-U-V-A-L. And it really, I think it incorporates the fact that this is such a big area. It's not Jacksonville. Most of the people who probably go to games, I don't even know if they're from Jacksonville. They're from Clay County. They're from St. Johns County. But they all understand that it's all tied to, Jacksonville and Duval. So, from that standpoint, I don't know when it became a rallying cry, but it's been like that for at least 15, 20 years.
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't realize that. I thought it was just a recent thing.
No. It's not recent. It's been around for a long time. At least for sure 15, maybe longer.
Yeah.
It's really more than anything just just like anybody in college where they've got their little fight song. That's their fight song, and it's just a little Duval chant.
I don't. How many counties are encompassed in that Jacksonville area? Because I don't know that people know this, but Jacksonville is actually the largest city in the country in terms of landmass. I mean, just the 880 square miles that is Jacksonville, the city of Jacksonville. It is massive in terms of landmass. Is it all Duval County?
It is, and so that's kind of part of this is where you get people from all these different towns that are still in Duval County, and they're going to the Jacksonville Jaguars game. I think there's just a real sense of pride about the way that thing has unfolded and the fact that Duval is so big. They do love the fact that they are the largest land-wise city in America.
Yeah. Well, apparently in 1968, they merged with Duval County and basically swallowed up all of their suburbs. There used to be all these suburbs of Jacksonville, and they ended up incorporating all those suburbs as Jacksonville proper when they absorbed Duval. So I guess, this is something that goes back a long time.
There you go. You learn something new every day.
There you go. That's right. Mark, do they have any shot? I mean, they're only an 8-point underdog at Kansas City. I'm not saying they're going to be the Cincinnati Bengals of last year, going from worst to to going to the Super Bowl. But do they have any shot in Kansas City?
Oh, for sure. I think you give them better than a puncher's chance. But first and foremost, they've got to stop digging themselves in a hole. I mean, the last time they went to Kansas City, they were down 20-0, and they ended up losing 27-17. The field goal kicker missed 2, so they really could have had that thing a lot closer. It could have been 27-23 at the end, been a one-score game. So, that is just one instance. But, they cannot keep doing that and survive, and they understand that. So that's number one. Number two, stop turning the ball over. Number three, get to Patrick Mahomes and create a couple turnovers. And then 4, be able to run the ball. If they can do those things, I'm not saying even if they do those things, they still might lose. But I'll tell you what, if they do those things, Tom, they will be in that game in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, the Chiefs are notorious slow starters, so don't help them out. If they're going to be slow starters, jump on them. You know what I mean? Don't be a slow starter with them. You want to jump on them a little bit and see what you can do. All right, Mark Long has been our guest. Mark, I appreciate you so much. Won't be long. The boys will be back in Daytona, and we'll have to track you down then. I mean, we get fired up for NASCAR in these parts, so we'll look forward to chatting again.
Sounds good. Okay, Tom.
All right, thank you.
Care.
Mark Long. Grizz, did you know that? Did you know that Jacksonville, Florida was the biggest city in the entire nation in terms of landmass? Not in terms of population, in terms of landmass, that they were the biggest city in the entire country?
No, I didn't. In the entire country? No. Did not know that.
I had heard of this back years ago, and I'm like, what? Jacksonville? And I misunderstood it at first, that in terms, I thought they were talking about people. But Jacksonville, Florida is 875 square miles. I mean, it is massive. And what they did was in 1968, they merged with Duval County. And so all of Duval County became Jacksonville. It used to be like there was Jacksonville, and then there was all of its suburbs. Like we have suburbs all around Huntsville and stuff like that. So what they did was they absorbed all of their suburbs, and it became, the biggest.
I was just saying, I thought like Houston or something like that would be like maybe bigger or something because that's pretty. I mean, Houston's pretty big. So I mean,
Houston has got a big landmass, but this is the biggest city in the country in terms of landmass. They have less than 1 million people. They got like 950,000 people there, but the landmass is bigger than any. I mean, you hit the city of Jacksonville, like you'd be out in the sticks, you'd be out in nowhere, and it's all of a sudden it's the city of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
But we talk about city. Which city of Jacksonville? You got to drive another 15 miles to get into the actual city, but it's called Jacksonville. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's the deal. See, you learn something on this show. All right, let's get a break in there. We'll come back. We can go open lines when we return. We got a short segment coming up, and Clinton Lamb is waiting in the wings as well. We'll talk with him about what's going on with the defensive coordinator position at Alabama. We'll do that coming up at, like I say, right around the bottom of the hour on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Are you tired of chasing a roofing contractor to show up on time, or even show up at all? I'm Sam Fleming with Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Our motto at Fleming Roofing is we show up. Our goal at Fleming Roofing is to provide the reliable customer service that you deserve, and we have the resources to meet all of your roofing needs: residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. We are manufacturer certified for roof coatings, single-ply membranes, and asphalt shingles. Whenever you need a roofing professional you can count on, call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We are committed to finding the solution that meets your needs. We don't have quotas or heavy-handed sales tactics. Fleming Roofing, we have expert experience. We show up. Free estimates. Residential, commercial, industrial, replacement, or repairs. Check us out at FlemingHSV.com. FlemingHSV.com. When you need a quick response, it's Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
This is Attorney Tommy Sinyard on behalf of Sinyard Law, and again proud to be a sponsor of All Things Football here on ESPN Radio. My son Bart and I started our own law firm July 1 and are very proud and excited to be bringing you our 50 years of collective national award-winning injury trial law experience. Check us out on the web, sinyardlaw.com.
Sinyard Law, nationally recognized, locally respected.
Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year with 0% interest. We've got financing as low as 0% APR for 36 months on 2022 and 2023 models of F-150, Explorer, Edge, and Escape. Plus, there's an extra $1,000 bonus cash on F-150 XLT. Come on in to Woody Anderson Ford today and choose from over 100 F-150s and nearly 50 Explorers. I bet you can find exactly what you're looking for. And we've also got longer-term financing as low as 4.9% for up to 72 months. It's available on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Edge, Escape, and Mustang. With your good credit, these offers are through Ford Motor Credit. Offers end January 31st. At Woody Anderson Ford, we'd be glad to walk you through the online ordering, too. Plus, you'll get $1,000 bonus cash. Come see us and let's get 2023 off to a great start. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan at Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect clouds to increase throughout the afternoon. High temperatures look to be topping out in the upper 50s. Rain will start to move into the area once we get into the evening. You can't expect to see widespread rain for your Monday night. We could also see gusty winds as high as 30 miles per hour. Low temperatures expected to fall into the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Everything you need is just a click away.
I screw up sometimes, silly.
Okay, almost everything.
Come on, pal. Tell your fortune.
Log on today. 977ESPN.com. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, more of the Thom Abraham Show on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
Tom Abraham Show is brought to you by the Orthopedic Center. For all your injury needs, it is the Orthopedic Center. Serving the Tennessee Valley for well over 20 years. When you need an orthopedic, you need the docs at the Orthopedic Center. They've got a doc for every single part of the human anatomy, and they can take care of you. And don't just think surgery. You think anything, rehab, any kind of aches or pains that you have that is orthopedic, they're going to get it taken care of for you at the Orthopedic Center. We appreciate them so much. And they always step up to help with all of our charity events and things that we do like that as well. And, of course, they help put on the Huntsville City Classic and all of that kind of good stuff. We really appreciate the whole team down there at the Orthopedic Center. Nate Oates spoke today, and he did touch on the Darius Miles case. He really couldn't. You can't add much. This is an ongoing investigation. You can't add too much to it. But Nate Oates did say, I just want to start by offering my deepest condolences to the family of Jamia Harris. Young woman, daughter, and mother was taken away way too soon by a senseless act. We're keeping them in our thoughts and prayers as they continue to grieve. He says it's really a tragedy all around. Oates said he had spoken with Miles' mother shortly after the arrest. He said this a couple of times, I wish we weren't having to address the situation, but we have to pull together as a team at this point and be there for each other. Now, by saying that, I don't think he means be there for Darius Miles necessarily, who has been kicked off the team and out of school. But Miles is saying that he's innocent. So that's kind of, you're walking a fine line there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Is he a teammate or not? Well, he's not a teammate anymore.
Well, when I saw it yesterday, I looked it up on the internet. I was just kind of looking up when I saw it on Twitter, I just kind of looked it up to try to see some background behind it. And he's not, I mean, he wasn't even on the website. So.
Oh, no, they scrubbed him immediately.
He was
arrested, and before he got in the car, they had scrubbed him from the deal. Oates said it's just an unfortunate incident that I wish we weren't having to deal with today. That is a understatement if there ever was one. It's a lot more than an unfortunate incident. It's a murder. A woman was murdered. A woman with a 5-year-old child was murdered over something that apparently was next to nothing. They say it was a minor argument, and somehow lead got traded. And he said, I wish we weren't having to deal with it today. Well, yeah, of course you wish you weren't having to deal. We're going to talk about your 40-point win over LSU, but that, you know what? A member of your team has been charged with murder. Now, again, I pump the brakes. I'm pump the brakes guy because who knows? Yeah. He's maintaining innocence. He said he's not involved in this thing is what he said. So somehow, obviously, it came back to him where he was questioned and this other guy was questioned. And, this Michael Davis, and they were, the two of them. You would assume one guy pulled the trigger. But what was the involvement? Who knows? He Darius Miles is saying that he's innocent in all of this. He was not a contributor to this team really this year. He had only played in, I think, 5 games, and hadn't played much. And he was already ruled out for the balance of the season now with this ankle injury that he'd been battling. But none of that is here nor there. The comments, this is, how we talk about what the good things are that are on social media and on Twitter. There are things that are good, the good of social media. The Damar Hamlin brought out the good of social media when they ended up raising over almost $9 million for his charity for children when his goal was $2,500 and now there's $9 million in the fund. That was a good thing about social media. The prayers that I absolutely believe helped save that young man's life. The bad of social media is the comments regarding this and all the crude comments that are being made about this whole situation on social media. It's really awful. Some of the things that people will say at a keyboard. Terrible.
Oh yeah, it's at the worst moment when other fan bases can just sit there and rag on another fan base for something like that. I mean, yeah. I'm sure Florida got it, during the Hernandez thing. I mean, I don't understand why the hate just kind of comes out, but apparently
just people think they're being funny and they're saying dumb things. And
then that's the problem. Social media just has memes, and then you have memes about it and everything. I mean, it just goes downhill.
All right, let's get a break. When we come back, speaking of Alabama, Clinton Lamb will join us from the Bama Insider. And on 3 Sports, he's up next on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. We're still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on 2 services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
Philip with Eagle Insulation will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatewitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, "If you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself."
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Monday, expect clouds to increase throughout the afternoon. High temperatures look to be topping out in the upper 50s. Rain will start to move into the area once we get into the evening. You can't expect to see widespread rain for your Monday night. We could also see gusty winds as high as 30 miles per hour. Low temperatures expected to fall into the low 50s. I'm meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Listen weekday afternoons starting at 5 on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's perfect!
With us on this MLK Day. I hope you got the day off. If not, if you're working, well, that's okay. We appreciate you tuning us in today anyway. Joining us now, a guy that does a tremendous job, a Bama Insider and on 3 Sports Group as well. He is on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. He's Clint Lamb. Clint, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing good today, Tom. How you doing?
I am fantastic. All right, let's get this out of the way because we can't just have our head in the sand on the Darius Miles situation. You wrote the report on it at Bama Insider, obviously, and Nate Oates has made a comment, which is, there's really not much he can say. There's an ongoing investigation going on into this deal here, and there's a lot of things that are being said, but I would think that in terms of the best thing for everybody is to let the process play out here. And just before we start, we just got to kind of wait and see what comes out of this, right? He's maintaining innocence. We don't know what the relationships were. We don't know what the argument was. There's a lot of hearsay and innuendo, but I think this is one thing where you just kind of wait and see what happens here.
That is by far the correct approach. Like, it really should be the only approach. It won't be. You've already heard a lot of stuff, rumors and, stuff that really has not been, it's stuff that has not been confirmed.
Right.
But, obviously anybody can take a step back and look at the situation and say it's not good. Regardless of what happened, regardless of the involvement of Darius Miles and what role he played in the way that this whole thing played out, it's not good. He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been in the situation. There's ways to avoid it, and I think there's learning moments for a lot of these other players. It's unfortunate. It's kind of like the Henry Ruggs situation where it's a very tragic thing, and you would 1,000-to-1 rather it not happen. But you got to look at every situation and say, okay, what can we learn from this? And I think a lot of the football players understood maybe they aren't invincible. And a guy who had a lot of success at Alabama, had gone on to be a first-round draft pick, had money, had success, everything that you look for, he wasn't invincible. And he made a mistake, and it cost him his career, and it cost, someone their life. And now Darius Miles is finding himself, maybe not to the success degree, but he's a high-profile athlete at a big-time program, and he made a mistake. And I don't know what that mistake is. I guess the investigation will reveal more, but you're 100% correct. The bottom line is we need to stop, wait, and see how the entire thing played out before we start jumping to conclusions or, passing judgment.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it may be more than a mistake. That would be soft playing it a little bit, but yeah, I get what you're saying. We don't know at what level he is involved at all. The one question that I have, and I don't know if you have the answer to it, but it's confusing to me. When he's being loaded into the car and he says, I love you, you don't know how much I love you more than anything, or whatever he's saying there about I love you, who's he talking to? Who is he? Is he talking about this woman? Did he know this woman, or does anybody know who he's talking to when he's saying it? That I love you more than anything in the world.
No, I haven't figured that out. Someone else might have the answer to that. I've wondered it myself. Part of me thought maybe one of his parents or something was standing on the other side of the cop car, and he was talking to them. That was a possibility. There's no angle. I don't know if there was anybody over there. I don't know if he was talking about this, 23-year-old victim. I honestly don't have an answer to that, but it was very strange. It could have just simply been him talking to himself and referring to somebody. Maybe he did know. I'm not really sure on that situation, but I have thought about it myself.
Yeah, it's just a weird scenario. All right, let's move on to the football field because this team is in need now of a defensive coordinator. And look, let's be clear. If Nick Saban wasn't endorsing or allowing this particular move, this doesn't happen, right? I mean, this is a lateral move at best for Pete Golding, for him to be going and becoming the defensive coordinator at Ole Miss. It almost feels like, Nick Saban's blessing is on that, right? I mean, he was going to be gone. It seemed like he was going to be gone one way or the other.
I've heard conflicting things, but the sources that I trust the most have pretty much said that it was more Nick Saban than it was Pete Golding. I think Pete understood that change needed to be made, that the situation at Alabama had run its course. But, I don't think it was him saying, hey, Nick trying to talk him into. I have heard that report. I have seen those reports, and I've talked to a couple of people who say that Pete did want to leave, and that it was more so Nick Saban trying to say, hey, we'd like to keep you around. But the people that I trust more have said that it was Nick Saban's decision ultimately, and that, Pete still, he ends up in a good job, still an SEC program.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin, they struggled defensively. They really need a good defensive mind. And when you're playing or coaching an Alabama system, it's Nick Saban's system. In Oxford, it will be Pete Golding's. So any of the shortcomings, I think with Alabama fans, any of the shortcomings always fell on Pete Golding, and any of the good things that happened always fell on Nick Saban. And so whether it's good or bad, whatever the product is on the field in Oxford will be a result of what Pete Golding, his final say and his stamp on it. And so I think that gives him an opportunity if he feels like he was overshadowed a little bit or didn't get the recognition they deserved for some of the good things. This gives him an opportunity to kind of showcase that. But it's going to be much different from a talent level between Oxford and Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, and a lot of fans will be concerned about, well, wait a minute, he knows what Alabama does offensively. He's been there for 4 or 5 years now, and he's seen out. Well, yeah, so was Lane Kiffin, and the reality is that if the assumption is that Bill O'Brien's going to be gone, there's going to be there's new nuance anyway to the offense, maybe even some new nomenclature and things like that. I don't think that that's a huge concern. That while Pete Golding knows the ins and outs of Alabama offense after facing it for 5 years in practice, it could be totally different by the time, by the time the next time these two teams play rolls around.
Yeah, it very well could be different. And, I think we've seen enough games where Nick Saban has gone against a former assistant where Alabama has won, where you can say how much of an advantage really is that. There's a flip side to it, and that's that Nick Saban knows Pete Golding. He knows what he was advocating for, in the coaches' meetings and things like that, as far as things that he wanted to do. He understands kind of where his strengths were as a defensive play caller and maybe where he could be exploited a little bit. And I think Nick Saban overall, now granted, with Jimbo Fisher and Kirby Smart in recent years, I guess in the last couple of years, you've seen that there's been some success against Nick Saban. But overall, I think Saban has done a much better job of, scheming and game planning against former coaches than maybe they have against him. So if it would be an assumption one way or the other, I would say it's an advantage for Alabama to, for Nick Saban to know both Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding because he's coached both of them, or coached with both of them.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, so let's go to the list of names. There's so much speculation as to who would be the next guy, and it seems like the fans want more than anything else Jeremy Pruitt. And if Pruitt is even an option, just discuss that, because without this deal being settled from Tennessee, is there a scenario where an assistant coach could be in a show cause situation, whatnot, where they hired Jeremy Pruitt, but he's unable to perform his duties because of the Tennessee situation?
This is one of the wildest situations from a coaching standpoint that I've seen in quite some time, because, I think that I've continued to kind of have this belief that, Jeremy Pruitt becoming the defensive coordinator, such a high-profile job being at Alabama, and just the fact that he does have that investigation still going on with Tennessee, I didn't think it would be a possibility. I thought maybe in some sort of off-the-field role, maybe as an analyst where you don't have to go out there and recruit, would be a much more likely situation. But from people that we've talked to, it is a real possibility. And I know at least from one side, they believe that it very much it has a good chance of getting done. We'll kind of have to wait and see, how that ends up playing out. I would have thought that Nick Saban moving on or kind of pushing Pete Golding out the door, I don't think you make that move without having somebody already in mind or in place, because you might find yourself in a situation where you start courting other defensive coordinators and you can't find the guy who's, wanting to come that maybe you wanted to, and now you're sitting there thinking, man, Pete Golding would probably be our best option. Like, that's just not how Nick Saban has generally operated. So I think he's got something in mind, and I think when you take that into consideration, the most likely candidate would be Jeremy Pruitt, because he's been available. They've been going through their due diligence as far as what he could and couldn't be able to do. But if they were able to land him and the SEC approved it and he was able to get back in Tuscaloosa, I think it would be a home run hire for them, because there's familiarity with Nick Saban, there's familiarity with Tuscaloosa. He's a great recruiter, and he's a phenomenal defensive mind, and I really think that him and Nick Saban work well together as far as how they generally try to game plan and scheme, and then also execute things on game days. And, I think that would be a very smooth transition. So if they could somehow make it happen, I certainly think it would benefit the program.
It seems like it would be hard for the SEC to offer much resistance in the wake of Auburn hiring Hugh Freeze. It would be like, okay, wait a minute. You're going to let that go, but you're not going to let Jeremy Pruitt be an assistant coach. Although it hasn't been as many years, so maybe there's a little longer that you got to be in purgatory for before you can come and coach. But it would seem like the Hugh Freeze hiring would take some of the teeth out of the SEC being able to restrict Jeremy Pruitt being hired. Now, whether he has sanctions, that's a whole other thing.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And, it's kind of a situation where Nick Saban already wasn't allowed to hire Hugh Freeze as the offensive coordinator. Like, that kind of was, Sankey decided that wasn't going to be a route they were going to allow Alabama to go at the time because of the time frame, and now a couple of more years have passed, and they've since allowed him to not only come back to the SEC but be a head coach and be the face of a program. Would they do that on the other side of the football? Meaning, Jeremy Pruitt, we're not saying that he can't ever come back, but there's not been enough time pass. I don't know. I do think that if you're Nick Saban, this would be the time to make that push because of the Hugh Freeze situation and the fact that they're being a little bit more lax on past, things that maybe guys weren't up to snuff on. But yeah, I'll be curious to see how this whole thing plays out, both offensively and defensively. I mean, I just feel like there's so many different directions they could go. I feel pretty good about Jeremy Pruitt as far as, confidence level on him being the next defensive coordinator, but I could also easily see seeing it being maybe a Greg Schumann or somebody else. And offensively, that's the one that I'm a lot less confident in. I have no idea which direction they'll go on that front.
Schumann is an interesting name. He's the co-defensive coordinator at Georgia. He's only 32 years old. He actually followed my son was a student assistant in 2007. Schumann took that role in 2008 and worked his way up, becoming a grad assistant and player development and so on. So he's an Alabama guy. He's an Alabama graduate, but he's 32 years old. And you wonder, and of course he's been with Kirby, so he's got that experience as well. But you just wonder whether or not Saban wants to stay that young, and have another young guy like he did with Pete Golding and have to put the amount of effort that he would have to put into maybe involve. Whereas with a guy like Pruitt, Saban can almost like be hands off. It could kind of, okay, you're back. Here's the deal. The terminology. The defense. You and I are going to meet, but it's your baby, and he can go on and work on the rest of the team type thing.
Well, I think that Nick Saban and his personality, he likes being involved, whether it be, with a specific position or with the defense. I do think there's a trust factor there that's important to him. Like, he has to be able to trust you to execute your job. The one thing about Schumann is that he dealt with not only Kirby Smart, but also, Will Muschamp. You had a lot of defensive minds there, and you also had Dan Lanning the year before. So he's dealt with a lot of different personalities and getting a lot of different inputs and kind of coming to a collective decision on how they're going to execute things. And the product that you've seen on the field, it's not like that all those, different talking, points of view or whatever has created, too many voices. And now it's, affecting things on Saturdays. They've been one of the best defenses in college football over the last couple of years. So I think that's an added benefit. And with Schumann, he is a very young guy, but I also think Nick Saban kind of, he liked Pete Golding. He thought he was a very bright defensive mind. He thought that, where he was taking some things as far as being a little bit innovative, really was going to push the defense in the correct direction. And I also think that with the way that the college game is changing, a guy like Greg Schumann, he's a young up-and-comer. He's kind of with the times. He's very much seeing where things are going. Jeremy Pruitt, he's made fantastic adjustments as well, but the way that college offenses are structured nowadays is even, fairly different than it was in 2016, 2017, 2015, when Jeremy Pruitt was in Tuscaloosa. So, I think there's pros and cons of both, but I do think that the familiarity with Jeremy Pruitt really is important to Nick Saban because you kind of know what you're getting. And if you're going to replace your offensive coordinator, which I still think is the plan, and you've got to go in a different direction there, you really want to make sure that you've at least got one of these coordinators who you're familiar with. You understand what you're going to get from them. They understand what they're going to get from you. And it makes the whole transition a lot easier. Greg Schumann, I guess, is familiar as well, though. So I think if I had to guess right now,
familiar but young,
be one of those two guys. Right.
Yeah, familiar but really, really young. 32 years old to be the defensive coordinator at Alabama. All right, Clint Lamb has been our guest. Clint, I appreciate you so much. It's always great to have you on the show, and we'll look forward to doing it again.
Absolutely. Good talking to you, Tom.
All right, thank you. The one that scares me a little bit is Jim Leonhard. I know a lot of people are fired up about Jim Leonhard, who's also a young guy at 40, but he's a Wisconsin guy through and through, Big Ten through and through. Doesn't really have any experience down here in the dirty South, and I just would be concerned about the fit because there is a recruiting element to this whole thing, and I'm just not sure Jim Leonhard, would be the right fit in Tuscaloosa. All right, we get a break. We'll come back with a short final segment, wrap it up next right here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
You're listening to the Thom Abraham Show on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
Hi, Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, inviting you to kickstart the new year with 0% interest. We've got financing as low as 0% APR for 36 months on 2022 and 2023 models of F-150, Explorer, Edge, and Escape. Plus, there's an extra $1,000 bonus cash on F-150 XLT. Come on in to Woody Anderson Ford today and choose from over 100 F-150s and nearly 50 Explorers. I bet you can find exactly what you're looking for. And we've also got longer-term financing as low as 4.9% for up to 72 months. It's available on 2022 F-150, Explorer, Edge, Escape, and Mustang. With your good credit, these offers are through Ford Motor Credit. Offers end January 31st. At Woody Anderson Ford, we'd be glad to walk you through the online ordering, too. Plus, you'll get $1,000 bonus cash. Come see us and let's get 2023 off to a great start. Woody Anderson Ford, Jordan at Sparkman. Hope to see you soon.
And now, a man who knows what you ate for breakfast.
Time now for the biggest thinker of them all.
He knows it all. He is Drew DeArmond. Listen to Drew and Scott Tyson weekday mornings. It's Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Final segment. Today's show. I feel like we covered a lot of ground today. There was so much that went on, good and bad, from over the weekend. I feel like we covered a lot of ground. I will say this. I am really looking forward to tonight's game. I was very much into the 49ers game on Saturday against Seattle because I like the 49ers. I was into the Bills and the Dolphins game. That game captivated my attention.
Yeah.
You know,
I was very surprised by that game.
Yeah.
I didn't expect a blowout out of the Seattle game. I mean, it was a close game until late.
At the half, it was 17-16 at the half.
So it's just, I didn't expect that, but I did expect the Dolphins to just get rattled, but you got to give them a lot of credit. That was a great game.
The Vikings-Giants game, for some reason, I was having a hard time getting into that game.
Yeah.
I just was having a hard time getting into it. It looked, I don't know if it was just my TV or for what, it looked dark. I know that the stadium was, it's a dome and stuff like that, but they've got the translucency. It looked dark. It was not aesthetically pleasing. The Vikings in that all purple and the Giants in the, it just was not aesthetically, it was not an aesthetically pleasing game in any way, shape, or form. And I can't stand the Ravens and the Bengals. I hate them. They're the two teams I hate the most. And I watched some of it. I watched all of the first half, and then I watched the second half of the fourth quarter.
I'll definitely watch tonight because we got the best.
Tonight, I'm into it.
We got the best broadcasters and we got the best spotter, around tonight. So, I mean.
Yeah, tonight, David Moulton will be assisting Troy Aikman and Joe Buck. And it's on natural grass, and it's the GOAT, and it's the Cowboys. Yeah, I'm into tonight. I'm definitely into tonight. All right, that's going to do it for us. Enjoy the afternoon hockey. By the way, the Bruins up 4-0. They think they're the Huntsville Havoc? Blowing out Philadelphia. You got basketball, you got hockey, and, of course, the game tonight. We're going to talk about all of that tomorrow. Coming up next, it's a Paul Feinbaum show, and followed by Wes and Steve on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Upside, the free app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back just for buying the gas I was going to buy anyway.
But is it a hassle to use?
No, it's super fast and easy, and I can cash out whenever I want.
That's a total no-brainer. I'm downloading the free Upside app